Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. We begin tonight with breaking news. Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown is stepping down. After 33 years on the force, he announced his retirement in an email this afternoon. We have live team coverage. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle is looking at the chief's career. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow is on Utah's Capitol Hill. But we begin with Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms at the Public Safety Building in downtown Salt Lake with details of Chief Brown's message to the community. Jeremy.
Yeah, Bob, good evening to you. At the end of this month, as you just mentioned, Mike Brown will walk out of the Public Safety Building for the last time as the city's top law enforcement officer. He sent out a written message both to the community and to his department this afternoon, in which he touched on the highs and lows of a lifelong career in public service, which began back in 1991. The chief mentioning in his letter achievements like reaching a 16-year low in overall crime, developing one of the first homeless outreach service teams nationwide, and modernizing the department to become driven by data and technology. For the past 9 years, Brown wore the chief's badge, and he also noted he led through some of the toughest moments law enforcement ever faced. And to quote, none more defining than the events of 2020, unquote. He says those trials made them stronger and more accountable as an organization. The departure, though, we do know, comes on the heels of a new public safety plan, which was unveiled recently by the city, which largely hones in on tackling crime. So now, just a few weeks later, Mayor Mendenhall will be left without the chief who helped to craft that very plan. So we have made our own reaches. I've made mine to the mayor's office and the police department. And at this time, no one will go on camera to talk about this latest development and what it might mean for the city moving forward. So we're going to continue to try and talk with city leadership about this stunning new development. And we'll bring you the latest as soon as we can tonight at 9 on Fox 13 News Utah. But for now, live in Salt Lake City, I'm Jeremy Toms. Bob, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Jeremy, thanks so much. There are a lot of unanswered questions at this point. When we heard neither Chief Brown nor the mayor would talk today, I called Mayor Mendenhall's office too and spoke with her communications director, Andrew Wittenberg. Just like he told Jeremy just a moment ago, he said the mayor can't discuss personnel matters. And while that could imply a personnel issue, I didn't get that impression. Only that personnel issues aren't discussed openly. Wittenberg told me there would be more announcements to come, but couldn't say when that would be. He told me Chief Brown's departure was an agreed upon decision. And while that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong, when you look at the announcement as a whole, the length of it, the details of his accomplishments and personal feelings about his job, you get the impression that there is more to it than just a retirement announcement. I asked whether the big safety plan for the city that Chief Brown and Mayor Mendenhall announced last month had anything to do with today's announcement. Wittenberg couldn't really say. And since the legislature fired a shot across the bow of Salt Lake City government on the homeless issue this week, Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has been looking into that angle this afternoon. He joins us live from Utah's Capitol Hill. Ben.
So far, Republican leaders here on Utah's Capitol Hill have been silent about the chief's departure, but there is a bill that is in the works that puts more pressure on Salt Lake City when it comes to public safety.
The bill does not target any one municipality.
Representative Casey Snyder has opened a bill requiring big cities to ink deals with the Utah Department of Public Safety for assistance in things like homeless camp abatements and combating drug crimes. If they don't, they could lose funding for homelessness and even roads.
I don't want this to be seen as punitive because it's certainly not offered in that spirit. But I do think that there is an expectation among our constituents, among those that have operated in this space, that there are some things being proposed to solve the problem, and there needs to be just sort of an accountability mechanism.
Facing pressure from Utah's Capitol Hill, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall unveiled a public safety plan that includes camping crackdowns. Legislative leaders and the governor have signaled their support for her work.
But it really is a mechanism of last resort to get to the point where we're talking about the withholding of funds. There has to be systematic and gross failure on the part of the city, a total breakdown in communication, and really a total aversion to what the state is asking. I don't see any municipality, and certainly not our capital city, getting to the point where we have such a contentious relationship with the state and with our DPS folks that we have to use that trigger.
Reacting to the bill before the chief announced his resignation, the mayor's office told me Salt Lake City appreciates the state's desire to expand our partnership on public safety, though we don't believe legislation is required. As we outlined in the public safety plan, it will take a coordinated approach to achieve the results we all desire. We appreciate Representative Snyder's invitation to collaborate on this bill and look forward to continuing those discussions. Now, just a short time ago, I caught up with the House Minority Leader who represents a large part of Salt Lake City. She says that she wishes the chief well, and she isn't sure if this bill is even a factor in what happened with his decision to step down. Let's play back what she just had to say.
I'm not sure if it impacts his departure, but I think this is a good time for us to look at a new direction when it comes to Salt Lake City and who our next police chief is going to be and how that individual will partner with DPS and will partner with the state and the city.
And I have gotten a statement from Governor Spencer Cox's office. I'm going to read it to you here. It says, Chief Mike Brown has worked to serve and protect the people of Salt Lake City for more than 3 decades. We appreciate his years of service and wish him well in his next chapter. Live on the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. So much going on behind the scenes here. Lots of reaction coming in. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle covered Mike Brown even before he became police chief. Nate is also at the Public Safety Building this evening. And Nate, there have been some ups and downs in Brown's tenure.
There have, Bob. Let's look at the numbers and our own archives to review Mike Brown's near decade as Salt Lake City's top cop. Homelessness has garnered the spotlight in Salt Lake City, but data shows there was about as many violent crimes in Salt Lake City in 2024 as there was when Brown ascended to the top job in 2015, and property crime has declined in many categories. That's despite Salt Lake City adding population. But Brown's officers have been accused of unnecessary force or violence. In 2017, a Salt Lake City officer arrested a nurse because she refused to draw blood from an unconscious patient. Neither Brown nor the city moved to discipline or fire officers until the nurse's attorney released video of the arrest. SLC stopped sicking dogs on suspects after it was found some of those suspects were surrendering and the bites weren't being reported up the chain of command. And in 2022, Salt Lake City agreed to pay $3 million to the family of a 13-year-old boy. An SLC officer shot the autistic child 11 times. The boy survived. Fox 13 News has reported how Brown has sometimes taken years to render decisions on officers accused of misconduct. And recently, Salt Lake City refused to release audits undertaken years ago, saying Brown still had not finalized those audits. In Salt Lake City, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Nate, before we let you go, no one, of course, knows who's going to be the next police chief, at this point anyway, but whoever it is, they're likely going to have their work cut out for them as the city gets ready for the 2034 Olympics. They really have to do some work.
That's right, Bob. You know, leading up to the 2002 games, it was years of training and coordination for Salt Lake City Police. But then also the new chief is going to have to navigate, negotiate with the state legislature. They seem to want to take a role in how Salt Lake City handles homelessness and crimes associated with homelessness. It's going to be a different job than it was for Mike Brown and even his immediate predecessors.
All right. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle reporting live from the Public Safety Building. The announcement of the retirement of Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown is a surprising development. We know that there is more to this story, and we will keep you posted as we learn more. Stay with Fox 13 News for in-depth coverage tonight on Fox 13 News at 9 and anytime at fox13now.com.